Do,
Life, I wonder, will it take me under?
Hello, Impeccable. This is Miss Impeccable Peach Tea, and today we have the renowned Raphael. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Can you start by telling us a little bit about where you're from, about your background, and who you are?
I am Rafael Blanco, public media relations expert, for lack of a better word. I'm out of New York City, from Harlem, Brooklyn, Harlem, and that's basically what it is. I mean, I just do PR for some of our favorite folks.
Wow. So can you tell us how you got into the PR business and what was your interest that got you to where you are now?
I got it. It's weird how I got into it. I mean, I come from being a recording artist, backup dancer. So I
Oh.
started as that. Yeah. So
Okay.
I was the behind the scenes, with Brandy, John Cicada, Immature, did some stuff with TLC. So, did the whole gamut very young. Left New York at the age of 17, moved to Orlando for a gig. And that's how it happened. And immediately right after high school, I went to performing arts. So did that for a couple of years. Obviously, kept in touch with a lot of the different labels that would hire us to dance for their artist. So
Mhm.
relationships are cool. Didn't really know what was going to happen. Definitely didn't think it would be this. But on tour, dislocated my back.
Wow.
So they had to ship me back to New York, and things had to start over. And thankfully, I stayed in contact with a couple of labels, and I wanted to still be in entertainment. I didn't know what that would be. So I ended up
Mhm.
getting a gig at an independent label out of Orlando, as a matter of fact, named Rip It Records. They were the home of 69 Boys, 95 South, and
Mhm.
that whole vibe. Um, again, didn't really know what was happening, so they gave me a little opportunity in marketing and promotions. And literally from there, I started working at LaFace Records,
Mhm.
where I worked with Usher and Outkast and Sammy, and again with TLC and Donnell Jones at that point. So,
Wow.
things were good. I was, handling some of the stuff on the southeast, to Arista, and then some of the artists, and left there when I went to Bad Boy. So that became a home for me for quite some time. And literally through the years, eventually that stopped. I went to MTV, and I was a publicist there for some time. Did some of the shows at Noggin, the N, and one of my main clients, which is still a homie, was who we know as Drake, but I knew him as Aubrey Graham from Degrassi. So, you know, did that, did the mall tours and all that summer stuff that you have to do with the kids. And eventually things just got a little too crazy and too busy. All this is while I still had my own PR agency on the side.
Mm.
But, we're always chasing checks as freelancers. So I still needed to have consistency, and MTV was my consistent paycheck. Still doing what
Mhm.
I wanted to do, but I still had my company, and eventually left that and had to dedicate myself full time to 2 hours entertainment and media PR.
Wow. So, like you said, you started off dancing and you were successful before you got injured. So is it important to have these connections before you even get into the business, or how can people who don't have connections like yours get into the PR marketing arena, even if they don't have these connections right off the bat?
I mean, I think it takes a sense of of having a vision. I mean, back then, obviously, we didn't have social media. We didn't have all we had was television and radio, and obviously
Mhm.
magazines. So it was a little bit harder to connect with people and to have a vision of what exactly you want to do. Once you get
Mm.
in the entertainment industry, if you're not singing or dancing or acting, so it's kind of sort of, now high school courses are teaching you, marketing 101 even before you go to college. So you have an idea of if this is something that's going to interest you or not a a little bit before you,
Mhm.
make big steps. So back then I didn't. I would just totally suggest and encourage people to read up, know what field it is that you're trying to get into. And if you're not sure, test it out. There's internships
Mhm.
left and right, and get your feet wet and see if this is something that might be of interest because it looks great on paper and it looks great on magazines and in videos. But
Mhm.
once you get in, this may not be your thing because as glamorous as it is, there's a lot of hours that I put into this, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that obviously the consumer doesn't see. But behind the scenes, the artists, the teams, management, everyone experience that. It's not all what it seems
Mhm. So you seem to be very, driven despite, things that happen around you. What keeps you going, and do you have a source of inspiration? Is there someone that you look up to already in the field, or just what's your driving force?
I would say God. I would say my ups and my downs.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the journey hasn't been easy, and and I know that some people say that failure is needed in order for you to keep going. And I have failed, and I have won, and I've failed again, and I'm afraid of failure. So I'm a hard worker, and my thing is I can't. I want more and I need more. I can't go back. I can't, go back to okay, so where is rent coming from this month? So
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep working and I know that, you know, this is not a 9 to 5 type of situation. And the moment this becomes a 9 to 5 for me, then it's when it's time to move on. Um, there's no ending hours in this industry. It's work, 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 and if you get comfortable while you're sleeping, there's someone else that's coming right behind you, younger, fresher. Now they
Mm-hmm.
have this whole new social media mentality that they know how to do these numbers and analyticals and all this other stuff. That's not me, but I'm a bust my behind in other places
Yeah.
and in other areas to make sure that I don't fail. But of course, I keep holding on to God, and there are tons of folks in the industry that I've growing up looked up to, even on the road traveling as a dancer. I would see certain publicists and certain marketing people that I really didn't know what they did, but I just
Mm-hmm.
one, they were fun. Two, what they were doing looked like it would be fun. Um, but then three, once I started getting my feet wet, I'm like, okay, I think I like that better for some reason. And I always had a thing. I call it a self esteem issue in regards to my writing. I wasn't the smartest in class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my grades were always with a C or something. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there were people that were amazing writers and will just, tell the story eloquently and all this other stuff. And that's something that I felt that I lacked in. So I knew that to get into PR, I had to write. I had to,
Mm-hmm.
spend long hours reading and all that other stuff. But eventually I was able to find my little way. And I'm like, listen, write it the way that you think you need to write it. Have someone
Mm-hmm.
proofread it for you, and then that's it. If that's the only thing that's holding you back. But it took a couple of trials and error to try that and to find that confidence to say, okay, well, that's just one part of the job. Now the other job is communication, relationship building, follow through, locking the story. You have to lock the story. You have to lock the interview. So then once I started learning all those other things, I was like, well, that writing thing is not that bad. I can have my girlfriend read it for me, fix it, and we'll move on. And that's eventually how it happened. And I mean, may she rest in peace now, but that was like my proofreader. I'm like, okay, girl, I got something for you to fix for me. She'll send it back with a whole bunch of circles,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh God, this is not for me. But at the end of the day, my thing was the job has to get done, and
Yeah.
thankfully it got done.
Mm.
But back
So.
to your question in regard to people that look forward to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
This is publicist by the name of Before, and as I was coming up, he was, he was an artist for quite some time, and then he spearheaded the J Records movement. So
Okay.
Alicia Keys, Olivia, Mario, um,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of other artists, and then of course when American Idol in its prime, the winner would be signed to J Records, so of course with the Ruben
Mhm.
Studdard and Jennifer Hudson. So thankfully, interestingly enough, and this is how the universe, you just never know how it's going to work. So through, grew up watching him, studying him, looking up to him, and think that with Ulysses Carter, which is Whitney Houston's publicist,
Mhm.
and as a youngin, you just like, oh my God, you have Whitney Houston. Oh my God, you have, and it's like
Yeah.
one day, and one fast forward today, they are like my big brothers that we have a great relationship with. I work business, I do lots of business with before and still to this day.
Mhm.
Um, but in turn, I've been able to represent Ruben Studdard. I've been able to and I actually still represent him. But through those connections, how back then I was just sitting back. Fast forward, that is like, okay, then you get the phone call like, so I need you to work on this Ruben Studdard project for me, huh? Wow.
Mhm.
Just like a Tony Braxton call. I got that many years ago when, one of the biggest Tony Braxton fans there is, but getting that phone call as I'm like, so you're gonna be working this LaFace record and, Tony is one of the projects that you're working. Huh? So it's those moments that you just sit back and you're just like, oh my God, you made it, quote unquote, in your head.
Mhm.
And then, you work the project, whether it does well or not, then you come right back down to reality because you're still
Yeah.
doing what you're doing in the sense of you're still chasing tags. You're still, that was just a project that did not define you. The artist
Mhm.
goes on and becomes bigger. And, so it's just the movement of consistency and being prepared, but also loving what you do. And, and,
Mhm.
and that's what I can say about that. Loving what you do.
Wow. So you are already a Superman to us, and you're already very inspiring. But what do you think that truly allows you to stand out from all the other people in the business?
That I love what I do, and I know that can sound a little cliche-ish, but I love what I do, and I do my best to not take on a project if I don't love the project. If I cannot love the project, I do my best not to take it. I'm not saying that I haven't at times, just because rent is due, and and you're just like, okay, I got to do what I got to do, but
Yeah.
can't wait for these 3 month contracts to be over with so that I can stop working with you because I don't like you or whatever the case it is. But I do my
Mhm.
best to not do that because this is draining. And as I mentioned earlier, this is draining. It doesn't stop at 5 o'clock where you close
Yeah.
your computer and that's it. There's still your mind is continuously on the run. It's going at all times. You wake up in the middle of the night. You have to have a notepad next to you and take notes to do this. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I forgot to send this email. So because it's so taking of yourself, you have to love it. Um,
Mhm.
so that to me is the main thing. I love what I do, and I go hard for my clients. And I do my best not to take it personal, but I can't love something and not be personally attached to it. So if I
Mhm.
cannot attach myself to it and fight for it, I can't do it. So a
Wow.
lot of people, this game is again, it seems like it's glitz and glamour and it looks fun, but they disconnect at 5 o'clock. You can't have a true relationship with the project and or your client if at 5 o'clock you're done. I'm learning, I would say, the process of the weekends I'm on call, but I'm not working. So that if you are off this weekend, you know, enjoy the weekend because you need that you time. But I'm not sitting here responding to every email that comes through, but I will respond to the emergency emails that come through, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. That makes perfect sense.
So
And I'm glad you
so
said
it's
that. Yeah.
So it's like, you take the weekend to yourself and
Mhm.
but keep your phone handy. It is your job to be on call 24 hours for your client and for drama that could happen. I mean, in my field,
Mhm.
I don't know what email I'm going to get based on a dumb tweet that a client might send or a Twitter war or, something is like something leaked. And I've gotten those emails and those calls in the middle of the night. So if I choose not to answer my call, I'm walking into disaster on Monday. So, you gotta make yourself available, but not available when you finally say, okay, I'm going on vacation. I mean, when I'm on vacation, I work a little bit, but that's when you work for yourself. You have to, because when it's all said and done, you have to come back to your mess.
Exactly.
And on that Monday, you're going to be looking real crazy when the clients are like, why weren't you available? Why weren't you around? I've been emailing you.
Mhm.
I had an emergency. Then you lose the client. So where's the commitment? And I think that trying to find that balance between commitment, your personal life, and the projects and your clients is part of the work. So I think that makes me a little bit different than some other people. However, I do know a lot of other people that work and bust their behinds just as I do.
And yeah, I'm like I said, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people don't love what they do, and that is important because you want to stay passionate and really involved in something, especially if you're not working regular hours, like you said, a 9 to 5.
And
But
life is too
so
short. Life is too short to not love it.
what going back to being involved in the people that you're managing, your clients, how involved in their lives are you? So as their PR person, the marketing person, how do you manage them? Like, are you responsible for, like you said, the social media stuff? Are you responsible for what they do on their off time? Are you responsible for, what? Can you take us through that process?
Um, I do my best not to be involved in their everyday personal lives.
Okay.
However, I try to follow them on social media. Every now and again you pop
Mhm.
in, let me see what you're posting. And, you go through some of the posts and it's like, what is this? You know. But you're
Mhm.
grown and that's your personal page and it's a page that you communicate with your client, with your fan base. So I kinda let people do what they do. But if something
Okay.
doesn't read right, doesn't it doesn't sound right, that may be taken as something else. Of course, I hit them up and I ask them, so what did you mean by this? Are you okay
Mhm.
with X, Y, and Z? Okay, cool. Okay, you cool? I'm cool. So I don't micromanage their
Okay.
stuff. A lot of times I call manager or send manager a text like, what's happening right now? They're like, it seems like they're venting a little bit. Like, can you monitor this? Can you give them a call and make sure they're good? But you let the artists do their thing. You respect their thoughts um, as grown people and as emotional people. And that's something that we're not perfect. And I think that as long as we understand that yes,
Mhm.
the artist has the pressure as well, and then you too have pressure. So we do and say dumb stuff. Does it make it right? No, but it happens. We're human. So we clean it up, we edit it, we delete it, or whatever the case it is, and move on. So I try to do my best to not be as involved. They do what they do, but the moment something that can hurt the brand is
Mhm.
posted or popped up, or how we react to it, then obviously we have a conversation about it.
Gotcha. So, on a more fun note, what has been your favorite experience or most favorite artist to work with?
Wow. Huh. I, I've had several actually. I'm trying to think. Excuse me. I would say a challenging one that I thought was going to be just based on reputation
Mhm.
was Shantae Moore.
Oh.
Through the years, I guess people had this experience or whatever that she's not the most easy to work with and
Mhm.
for, and and of course, being a fan for so many years. Listening to people talk or whatever, it was just like, uh-oh. But I got the call, we're working the Shantae Moore project. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Woo, woo, woo. Boom. First, my I've met her through the years, but never on this business tip because now, it's a different type of conversation because now you're putting your career in my hands, quote unquote.
Mhm.
So I walked into the meeting. Actually, I didn't even walk into the meeting. We missed the meeting, so something happened. So we ended up meeting straight up at the beginning of Essence Festival week. Meanwhile, we had
Oh, okay.
a full schedule lined up or whatever.
Mm.
And first second of reconnecting, it was love at first sight. really cool, really nice, very loving, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a crazy work weekend because we worked our behinds off, and I walked in when she was going back to LA and I was going back to New York. She gave
Mm-hmm.
me a big hug and she said, "Thank you for taking care of me." And to me, and it was a big hug, and I felt that like in the core of my soul, and I was just like, "Wow!" Like you never judge
Wow.
a person by a story, by what this
Mm-hmm.
person said. Make your own decisions and opinions of each of whomever based on your own experience with them. Because I
Wow.
was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a BITCH, this is gonna be a long week. And she was completely the
Yeah.
opposite of such. And it was very gratifying working with her. And still we speak off and on, and it's all love. And that was a scary moment that I thought I was going to have that turned out to be
Mhm.
amazing. And I'm glad I didn't go by other people's opinions. But I
Mhm.
walked in a little scared, like, here we go. And I mean, I'm enjoying, of course, working with Raheem. I had through the years,
Mhm.
dealt with him, but off and on seen him, but never really had a conversation with him. And
Mhm.
man, really cool people, really really cool person. Another one that, as a huge fan through the years, that I really enjoyed working with is Joe. Like
Mhm.
exactly what you may think of him
Mhm.
as a fan of his music is exactly what he is. Just a cool,
Oh.
laid back dude. Like
Okay.
really, 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 really cool. And another one, I'll throw him in there just because I know he'll chop my head off. Key Sweat, really cool dude.
Oh.
Funny. He doesn't seem funny or whatever, but
Yeah.
he's a jokester. Like talks a lot of mess. He'll just call you and be like, "Oh, so that's it today? You guys no work for me, man. F you," and just hangs up the phone. And like really cool people that a lot of times we only know them by their music and by what we
Mhm.
see, but don't know that they're just big goofballs behind the scenes, and is really refreshing sometimes. And then of course you have the opposites that are just like, ugh, okay, get
Yeah.
off my phone, please.
Okay. So, what's next for you?
um, things honestly, things are happening. I mean, and the blessings are coming, and the doors, the bells are ringing, and everything
Mhm.
else. I mean, honestly, I mean, and we only have like the year is almost about to end, but things are looking great already
Mhm.
for 2019. We have several
Yay.
companies that already calling that want us to work with them. So I'm excited about that.
Okay.
And I guess maybe within the next 2 weeks, you guys be getting a random email from me like, oh, they have this person now, because things are looking really up. But technically speaking, I mean, just for me personally, I'm going to work on relaunching my eyewear line that I never really got off the
Ooh.
ground. Yes, thank you. It's
Okay.
called Eyes of a Rebel. So,
Okay.
it's unisex eyewear. I'm a glass frame freak. So it's like I'm like today I'm like, okay, well, what are we looking at? What are we wearing? Um, and then of course my watch line. I'm gonna see if I can take that off. It's been on the agenda for like 2.5 years, and then something happened with my backer and that didn't come through. But
Mm.
conversations are popping up again, and ideally I'll be able to launch that. And I just want to be, the best person that I can be, continue to help my
Mhm.
community, continue to be an example for my nieces and nephews, and
Mhm.
and just be that good son. My mom still
Yeah.
can't deal with all this traveling and on a flight every day. She's paranoid and
Mhm.
petrified of that. But I just want to continue to make my folks proud and continue to make me proud, um, based on the accomplishments and just doing the right thing. So that's the goal here.
Wow. And you're one of many talents. Many talents.
Thank you,
So,
thank you, thank you.
what makes you impeccable? Even though there's so many reasons why we think you're impeccable, you just gave us so many more. What do you think makes you impeccable?
I to start off that I am a child of God, and
Mm-hmm.
through Him my blessings flow, and I would like to continue to be impeccable by just making a person smile, at least making one person
Mm-hmm.
smile a day. And, you know, that's free. It doesn't cost anything to smile and to be nice. And I think when you experience that early in the morning, that might change your mood to be a better person, and it becomes infectious. So that day, your frown can turn into a smile because someone smiled at you, and then you can share that to the next person. And I think that if we start with that, the rest of the day can be, you know, as it comes. But you have a different mentality on how to start your day.
Wow. That is wonderful. I can't wait to meet you.
Oh,
that is
thank
wonderful.
you.
That
Thank
is
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you think that you would want the audience to know about you, or something that really makes you, anything else you want to add? Because I'm glad you mentioned the lines, because I didn't even know about that.
The which? Oh, the eyewear, right? I mean, I don't like I was really hyped about it when it was during that time, and then when it all fell through, I was like, womp womp.
Oh.
but everything happens in due time. I mean, I just want people to just go out there, follow your dream, find what that passion is, and I understand that you still got to work your 9 to 5 because you have to pay bills, but dibble and dabble in your passion. On a part-time level, you have 24 hours of the day. Figure it out. If you give your passion 2 hours a day, if that is all you can give it, then give it that. But it should be a reward to the stress of your 9 to 5. If you're not happy, it should be a reward to say, well, I'm going to write for 2 hours. I'm going to sing for 2 hours. I'm going to cook for 2 hours. Whatever your passion is, just do it. If you can only do 2 hours, do it until you're able to leave that 9 to 5. In that 2 hours that you've been cultivating for 6 months, 2 years, or whatever, now is becoming something. And then you can tell your 9 to 5 to kiss your butt, and you out because now you can make a little bit of money off of it, and just trust that if this is one of the things that is a reminder for me. Sometimes things are a little questionable on my end, regardless of whatever. I say my affirmation is if God didn't think that this was for me, what I am doing, He would not continue to bless me with an email from a potential client, a phone call, people when I'm out and about, like, yo, I just spoke to someone and I recommended you as a publicist or whatever. Like, those are blessings from God that sometimes you're not even expecting. But if you find your passion and those things happen to you and the recommendations and everything else, then take that as a sign that this is what God wants you to do. This is where He feels that you shine, and He's giving you these signs so that you can figure it out and affirm it, be stronger in it, go for it harder, whatever the case it is. And when He blesses me with those opportunities and those phone calls or those referrals, I just look at Him and I'm like, this is why I know this is what you want me to do. You don't want me to do nothing else. I don't have a passion to sit at nobody's 9 to 5 desk, whatever. I need to do this. And if you continue to send things like this my way, this is an affirmation that this is what you want me to do.
Wow.
So I would encourage people to find that passion, find that small conversation that you feel that, yup, he's sending stuff your way. It's a sign. It's a sign. After a lot of signs, look, it's a sign. Figure it out. Go out on faith, and and see what happens. And if not, guess what? The 9 to 5 will be right there. Unfortunately, but you tried it, and that's all that matters. Life is too short for you not to give your dreams a chance, whatever that is. Bake a cookie. You might be the best baker. You didn't even know it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You.
It is a pleasure. It was truly a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
My pleasure as well. Thank you for having me. And thank you to
Yeah.
Anna, and thank you to the publisher for the opportunity.